Welcome to our broadcast, the ultimate state of the Union. We are rebroadcasting this and various versions of it to intimate circles and to the widest circle, also in the sunny hours early in the day and these starry hours, to help us realize that our sun is a star, and our sun will connect us to all the stars, and that we, the daughters and sons of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, are the key. And we here are giving the state of the new millennial co-federation of Earth and planets. It's a union quite a bit larger than any one nation. It is certainly a union of this planet, and it is a unit of this planet with a union of this planet with other planets. It is the apotheosis process for humanity to become more goddess and godlike. It is the fulfillment of prophecy of every major religion. It is the ultimate quantum leap from primitive ape-like patriarchy into re-evolved egalitarian equinox as in Starcade and true Q as in Star Trek, eternal youth in an ethical, loving, living, sustainable, enlightened society on this and all earths. You see here some of my dearest family, past, present, and working on the future. And they do have heart lights within them, and they are budding, blooming flowers. However, all the people in North America have become complex victims of their own co-optation into the patriarchal system that we are currently pretending is reality. We have a dream that we have made reality now. We have already begun. A number of dearest people and those so wise to know that patriarchy is our problem. We have begun a government of youth, of women and youth, since we are all related on our planet, they are our Shekinah and our younger Shekinah and Hekina, young women and young men aged 37 and younger. To begin with, as the first co-secretary generals of the New Millennial Co-Federation of Planets, which is a local, global, and universal state of mind, of hearts, of mind, of spirit, as well as of body and body politic. I will show you a graphic as we pull up the musical beginning. We have already done this ceremony and parts of the ceremony and readings, parts of the New Millennial I Have a Dream speech already today, and we began doing it on the 11th. We did it on the 12th, the 13th. Today is the 14th. The 11th was the birthday of Alice Perry Paul, the woman who brought votes to the United States. Today is the birthday of Hannah Greenebaum Solomon, who the elementary school that I and my family went to, and we were taught about democracy when I was there by a teacher by the name, very appropriately, of Mrs. Light. We are bringing you light today, heart light, and budding, blooming flowers, the results of that light, and the seeds of light on all planets. Bear with us while we do a little technical preparations here. We have a visitor who's helping us, our goddess kitty cat, Doni Aurora Feliz, and her sister, Maria Rainbow Sweetheart, are right here also. Bear with us. Our transmission seems to have been affected. It's because something is loading. We have an audio file loading, and it's apparently my computer doesn't have enough disk space to do this without having some impact on the broadcast. So bear with us. Okay, we'll play some of our announcement and welcoming music for you. Our dearest family is here within my heart, within the light and the flowers, and I hope hearing and watching. And all of you, our dear families, all beloved by the Mother, Father, Goddess, God. We are all one family. This aspect of government is now becoming divine democracy for the way of our planet, local, global, and universal, our planets. And let me just give us a moment of silence here while we prepare. I see that I unfortunately had our mute button on as I was preparing and forgot to turn it off. So that's good. We're going to redo the beginning of our broadcast, start from the beginning, and give you the complete understanding.
In the thunder's blast, she emerges, her eyes on fire, the mighty priestess. She is risen from the nativity of Caldera. She is risen from the fires of the earth. She is risen. She's risen. She's risen. She's risen.
We are risen. We all are risen.
Celestial event. No. No words. Words. Describe. I should have said. Oh, so beautiful. So the people need to see what I've seen. They need to see.
This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses for or against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose in heart light, love and light. I am the intercessory to assure your blessings instead of your curses. Every season risen spring, so that you and your children may love and live eternally, enlightened and prosper everyone and all. Kongs Pax Atlantas all risen. On this earth and all planets, circles connected and reconnected in balance. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my hour, new millennial law.
महालक्ष्मी दृढप्रिया महारूपा महापूज्या महापातकनाशिनी महामाया महासत्त्वा महाशक्ति महारथी महाभोगा महेश्वर्या महावीर्या महाबला महामूर्ति महायोगेश्वरेश्वरी महातंत्रा महामंत्रा महायंत्रा महासना महायागक्रमाराध्या महेश्वर महाकल्पक महातांडव साक्षिणी महाकामेशमतिथि महात्रिपुर सुंदरी चतुष्षष्टि उपचाराढ्या चतुष्षष्टि कलामयी महाचतुष्षष्टि कोटि योगिनी गणसेविता
All of us. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses for or against you, that I have set before you life and death.
It shall be for
blessings
you
and
as I am
curses.
acting as
Now
intercessory.
choose in heart light, love and light, budding and blooming as marvelous miraculous flowers in every season risen sprig, so that you and your children may love and live eternally, enlightened and prosper everyone and all. Kongs pax lent us all risen. On this earth and all planets, circles connected and reconnected in balance. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not mine hour, new millennial law.
Okay. Another Patricia. Maybe better made sunflowers go up Cherokee and Blackfoot. This is Anne-Marie singing Christmas, and I am Cherokee, Cheyenne, Blackfoot, and Alabama, Dakota. And I am also a French English junior. That means we are all related. We embrace the new millennial golden rule as the law of all natives of the sacred ground, that is Mother Earth, and all the planets of all the universes.
We all are risen. As you see, we have a co-host this evening. Actually, her sister is right nearby too. This is Dona Aurora Feliz, here for the dawn of the new millennia. At any hour, she's always dawn, and she's always a goddess kitty cat. And Maria Rainbow Sweetheart, her sister, is right nearby, and their mother, Whiskers, is in the neighborhood with their sister, Tiger, and their brothers, Buttermilk and Blackie. And there's a cousina, Holly, and a cousin, Felix, and they have much to teach us about how to get along. Now, today we have announced again, as we have been doing now for about several years, that this is the beginning of the new millennium. That means that I am the paraclete that was predicted to come at the time of a new millennia as a cosmic Christ. But I am not alone. You heard the voices of white buffalo calf women, the messiahs of the Native American people, and other women around the world have announced and been recognized in similar manifestation of the mother aspect and the mother and the father aspect of the yin-yang eternal forces in balance that create and sustain our universe. I say our universe as if there is only one. There are many galaxies, we know that. There are many solar systems. There is only one goddess God. But the manifestations and the incarnations and the presence and the regions are multitudinous, just as are grains of sand and people. We are meant to populate and reconnect with the souls of all our families, our family communities, which is just one family, in fact, all around the universe, all throughout Earth. There are many, many mansions in our mother's and father's universe, and all that they request of us is that we treat each other and their creation kindly and recognize that we are all related. In our behaviors, that we learn to be reciprocal, to make circles, to hear and to listen, to share and to learn from one another on a continual basis. We have with us the lights that are on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers in water. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. Namaste. Mitakuye Oyasin. We are all related. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers in water. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. Mitakoye Oyasin becomes Mitakoye Ko Reall. We are all at a higher office than any president, prime minister, pope, or any CEO has ever been or could ever be, because we are presenting a paradigm shift that empowers all people to eternal life, to connection via the stargates with the entire universe, and to the fountain of youth within us all. In other words, apotheosis the mortal become immortal in kindness and with love powers. We have two great technological tools to assist this enormous shift: the computer and the solar panel, or any form of solar energy or renewable energy. These two technological innovations that have occurred now, really they might have occurred years, maybe centuries and millennia ago, had women not been suppressed and kept out of school and decision making. But they have occurred now at a time when women were rising, and we cannot allow women to sink again and humanity to sink again. But that is exactly what is occurring in North America. We are sinking. We are becoming more degenerate, more depraved, and less egalitarian and less fair. But ancient Atlantis lived for and sustained longer than any civilizations known of human history. It was often called by archaeologists the Minoan civilization, but that is actually a misnomer, because the women were so central to the decision making of Atlantis. We know this from their artifacts and the frescoes that are found of their paintings and the way their society worked, their common areas. They're often called palaces, but they were really more than that. They were community centers. And we know that the women were primary and that the men wanted it that way, that their science, their arts, and their sports flourished, that there was very little income inequity, yet everyone had an enormously successful and happy material well-being in Atlantis. We are Atlantis risen because we, via the new millennial golden rule, are presenting divine democracy. Now tonight, I already today, and I will show you again some pictures and names of our own dearest family, a gifted family of enormous genealogical significance that is related to Anna Maria's and Ma Patricia's, who you just heard, and to all families on this planet, because all are related. Our archaeologists and anthropologists are now quite definitive that no one on this planet is more than 50th cousina away from every other woman, no more than 50th cousin away from every other man. We are cousinas and cousins, which means we are sisters and brothers, not only within our own families, but toward each other, just a certain level of ancestry steps away from one another. We are all the children of sisters, of sisters of brothers of sisters. You need the sisters in there to make the children. The brothers cannot do it. Brothers with brothers cannot make a child. Sisters with sisters normally cannot make a child either. The two genders need one another. They need both sisterhood and brotherhood and the marital bond. However, the marital bond degenerates and becomes an exploitation when the sisterhood is weakened. And over time, that also weakens the brotherhood, and the brotherhood also becomes nothing but exploitation. And that is the moment that we are in. We have fallen to that level. We have been practicing patriarchy way too long and unnecessarily. And we are now transitioning back during a time of reparation to a period of reparation for the divine feminine to rise, and also the youth within all of us, especially our younger generations, and then egalitarian society and government intertwined together as they are necessarily so. Government is based on anthropology. Good government is based on anthropology. To have divine democracy, you cannot have a suppressed feminine population. It also backfires on the masculine population. We require divine democracy, which is egalitarian. The egg of Easter is in all of us. It is the intersection of the feminine and the masculine, the yin and yang in balance, in the decision-making of the society, and in the awareness of the importance of the family and the extended family and community clan, region or neighborhood, most important. To be a love thy neighbor, female and male, neighborhood everywhere on earth, because now all our neighborhoods can connect over the internet, and everything we say can be translated within seconds by software that's already inbuilt into the internet. We do not really need federal governments. We do not really need state governments. We do not need it. But we are used to it, and we are used to it in a patriarchal mode, and that is literally killing us. So I am here to save us from that terrible fate and bring us back to our common sense, which is the anniversary celebrated this week, the giving of common sense to North America in 1776 from the illustrious and loving family of Mary Lambert Payne and Tom Lambert Payne, who lost a baby girl in childbirth, but gave birth to real democracy, which we are now over 200 some years later fulfilling, and also reconnecting it to its enlightened origins in Atlantis, which also interfaced with ancient Israel in the Middle East and all of Europe, and further potentially, to bring a civilization of insight and awareness and enlightenment that was lost when people flirted with patriarchy and deluded themselves to think that it worked. Every civilization that has been patriarchal has fallen after a few hundred years, usually no more than 1,000. The Atlantis civilization lasted several thousand years, and this was before the development of so much of the technology we have now, and the literacy of greater literacy of women of ease. Obviously, the artifact of the Gortina Code, which was found in 1884, really a code of democracy, which then showed over time how the rights of women were degraded and lost, tells us that it is possible to have a democracy in the neighborhood and in the local area, and that the commons becomes the common palace of the common person, because it is shared. And there the great exchange of insight, ideas, and genius comes forth from both genders and all age groups. And the production is as budding, blooming flowers, sustainable infinitely. And the light is always on, the light of the heart, with people that you know and that you care about and that you have stability with over time. We have lost that in North America. Our society is a very large and mobile one. We have enormous diaspora from hometowns. We did so at a time before the computer arose. Now we can travel anywhere without leaving our hometown. So it creates much greater stability, and we have a time of potential reunioning of every family and neighborhood that ever existed on this planet over time. And we have a whole continuum of eternal life to experience that reunioning. So now I already gave today my traditional ceremony with our birthday cakes, our milk, and our water. I'll show you the symbols that we use, but I'm not going to do the whole ceremony tonight. I'm just going to give the gestures. For all, both in each and every one. For all, both in each and every one. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together, past, present, and future. Our spring youthful birthdays of people aged 37 and younger, all our women in together intertwining the resurrection of democracy during a reparative period of the new millennial golden rule introduced, and then also our older men will come back into our midst in decision making as full partners after 9 to 18 months of waiting and simply supporting. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together. We'll start fresh. Now, many of the people who this ceremony is particularly directed at in my family tree were called during the day today. I may call a few more this evening. It's getting a little bit late, so I'll probably leave it for the ceremony tomorrow. We do a ceremony for them every day because they don't appreciate their own value and those of other people on the family tree, and that's likely the way it is on your family tree too. Because Western civilization under patriarchy, all civilizations under patriarchy, Eastern too, have lost the family clan, have lost the extended family. They have become atomized, nuclearized and atomized to the point of ludicrousness, and people have no sense of continuity in their relationships with neighbors. The bonding is all broken, splintered. We have to reclaim that, and we have the way to do it, and it is the new millennial golden rule, and it is the basis for democracy that comes from the heart and is sustainable indefinitely, because the heart is really located in the brain. In fact, it's our limbic system of our minds. It is our memories. It is our affection. It is our bonding. It is what makes us human. And our budding blooming flowers are the fruits of that light, the magnificence of the human rainbow, the difference of every person, gem-like as a rainbow, nature's jewelry that we, in fact, all are also. So, nature's jewel, I won't call it jewelry because it goes beyond decoration. It is so beautiful and occurs so naturally. All the gift of sunlight, all of this gift of sunlight and water and a few of the star stuff elements, and look at the miraculous, marvelous, miraculous beauty that we and everything are. But we've been destroying it. We have our huge nuclear stockpiles, our threats of global warming, our Fukushimas, our fracking, methane clouds over now New Mexico and California. We are extinguishing ourselves. Why? Because women are never there in any great number when the decisions are made, and their intuition and their nurturing and cooperative modes are so degraded they can barely talk to each other now, let alone men. So we're a mess, but we're going to come out of it like the phoenix. We're going to rise like the phoenix and get back to our bondedness, our humanity, and our divinity that's within us all. Now, I'll show you briefly our family tree so you know who some of the people were who were called, and we did show you earlier today their list among the representatives from every continent that we have of women and their youths. Okay, and we have here some of the Native American women who spoke are also included, intertwined with our family tree. We intertwine our family tree with that of the Brannock Skakel, Fitzgerald, Bouvier, Kennedy, Shriver, Cuomo clan, because they, like us, are bringing together a number of heritages, more than might meet the eye, and also have to do with the balance of female and male in the vision that was Camelot, requires the vision of Avalon, and in fact, both of those concepts harken back to the wisdom of Atlantis, which was shared with Mariam of Magdala and Jesus of Nazareth and their families, including Mariam of Nazareth, awareness of the Essene or Gnostic knowledge that female is equally anointed as male. That was unheard of before Mariam of Magdala and Jesus of Nazareth began to talk about that within their circles. They lived at a time of intense patriarchy, and so do we. But we at least have the record in front of us and in front of huge numbers of us to understand the difference between an egalitarian society and a patriarchal society. And there is a profound difference cumulatively over time. And patriarchal society always requires a complete hypocrisy with regard to the golden rule. Patriarchy is a hierarchy by nature, but not by nature, but by its very definition. And once that hierarchy is established, many other hierarchies sprout out from it like the heads of a hydra, of a monster. And we have nationalism, classism, racism, obviously all built on sexism, and primogeniturism. We have every kind of ism that comes to separate people and make it easier to control them in a manipulative and exploitative way that works only for a few alpha males and not for them too long, because they wind up killing each other off. So, and they wind up killing everyone off. And that is what we've seen in the human story. Over time, a civilization empire rises, then it's destroyed itself and it destroys others. They fight, they destroy each other, and it's all gone. This time we take the whole earth with us if we do that again. So we can't afford to do that again. Now, let me go. You've seen these people, you're looking at them. We gave their initials and their names. We've invited them to not only come to the broadcast, but co-host the broadcast with us. And we're going to continue to invite them. And we think sometime between now and Valentine's Day, and especially before spring, by spring, we will be able to have our co-hosts regularly, that they will be asking to co-host instead of my having to call them and prime their pump over and over again. There's something that's causing a little delay here on the software. Here we go. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to see if our White Calf Buffalo women wants to co-host actively. They introduced themselves yesterday. It would be fine if they want to co-host. I'll find it out right now. I'm leaving this invitation for them. They'll come another time, if not today. If you both want to come and co-host, please call in on the conference line. We are on the air. Now, we have equally gifted women in my family tree, more directly and closely related, and in their neighborhood family trees. And we have invited them also and their youth, female and male. And I will show you with my cursor some of the people here. These people, and these people, and this young woman, and her mother here, and these aunties and Shekinah, and these youth, female and male, have been invited, and they are quite aware that they are welcome to be co-secretary generals, co-savioras on the air. These are all great and grandchildren of these great and grandmothers. We have some who are not pictured here. Our family has some very many less famous, but some more famous women, including Lynn Margulies, the mother of the Gaia Effect. But our mothers who were so inspiring to us and grandmothers are Ray and Harriet, who ran a multi-generational gathering place for women and their young in a home-based hat store that got them through the Depression and was a neighborhood hub and was truly a clan mothers. And here's our Rose and Antoinette, raisers of daughters and sons, and our Clara, who was the sister of Ray, who gave birth to 2 daughters. Such an important thing to have 2 daughters to balance the many overbearing pressures to have sons. Recently, we now know that in Asia and the former Soviet Union areas, due to selective abortions, 163 billion baby girls were aborted because of the pressures of patriarchy. Now the boys that are growing up there will have no one to be their partners. The situation is a tragedy, and it shows how foolish sexism really is. And yet, it's just as foolish here because our media, which is run by old men, never reported on this. People who are on the internet know all about it. It was the worst Holocaust ever happened, all within a short period of time. 20 years, 163 million souls were unnecessarily lost. And the imbalance created is very, very dangerous. There are ways to deal with this. We'll get to that in another broadcast. But when families are patriarchal themselves, they don't often see beyond their own interaction to see how the impact has a ripple effect on the entire society. Our society is in its last days due to patriarchy. We have stockpiles of nuclear bomb. Everyone is considered everyone's enemy. National boundaries are much more important than human welfare on the planet. And all of it is about separation, division, control, and exploitation. This is patriarchy run amok, and it is enabling by women run amok. The women are as much part of patriarchy as the men. When they do not stand up for each other and for their own children and for the general welfare and well-being of everyone, they are as guilty as patriarchy as men are, almost as guilty. And in some ways, in some contexts, more guilty, because they are defeating the sisterhood of their own gender, and that has a terribly pernicious impact toward many men and turns men who would be otherwise decent and kind men into increasingly exploitative and sociopathic creatures. So this is a very dangerous process over time, and we are at the end stages, and it's beginning again, and it is turning this North American society into a society of bullies and bystanders and victims. And this is not what democracy is, and it is not what divinity within the human personality is. And we have the other path. Now, I will take you to the website. There's 3 things that you need to look at here, very importantly. The first thing we need to look at is the New Millennial Golden Rule itself. This is the key to eternal life. This set of combinations of 5 pillars is the absolute key to eternal life on this planet and in connection to other planets and the opening of the stargates. I can show how that would be logically so and have done so on the website with a decision tree of logic that shows the kinds of results that come out of patriarchal hierarchy among people and the kinds of results that come out of egalitarian decision-making and high levels of status for both women and men, for both females and males. And the difference is profound. Women in a patriarchal society become little more than decoration. They're exploited, harmed, they harm one another, and they harm their own children over time. Men in this society become exploiters and exploited. They don't trust one another. They become caught in crime and war and self-destructive behaviors of all kinds, particularly substance abuse. They destroy their neighborhoods. They ignore their neighborhoods. They don't know the value of their contributing in a neighborhood to the women and the children of the neighborhood, and the whole thing falls apart. Now, instead, we offer the New Millennial Golden Rule. Now, as you will read in the About section of this website, I am a direct descendant of Maryam of Magdala and Jesus of Nazareth's families. I am a reincarnated shared cousina of both Maryam of Magdala and Jesus of Nazareth. I was both their cousina. They both knew me, and they both taught me. And I am reincarnated now as the Paraclete, but I am also even more ancient than that. I am the risen goddess Astrea, the goddess of divine justice of the Minoan, or better termed Atlantis civilization. I am that goddess that is the sun and star goddess that is the model for the Statue of Liberty. That is who it is. And I tell you now that what is in her book that she is holding is the modern version of the Gortina Code with much greater insight and understanding, which I have delivered as the New Millennial Golden Rule. The New Millennial Golden Rule has 3 important components conceptually in terms of the actions of human beings. The first is the Panchayat Raj. The Panchayat Raj is a village-size decision-making system that ensures fully 50% females, 50% males. If there are any minorities in the jurisdiction, that they are represented fully, representing their presence, and it be in a geographical area that is the equivalent of a village, or as I say, every love thy neighborhood, female and female neighbors on the planet Earth. As soon as that process begins, and that grouping is connected to the rest of the world by the internet, there is a synergistic effect that brings the flowering of human genius such that all of our problems everywhere will be disappeared. We will stop global warming. We will stop disease. We will stop substance abuse. We will no longer experience major divorce and family separations and alienations. Every disease will be gone, because we now know that 97% of disease is triggered by stress, often cumulative distress and stress, which is not perceived as easily unless you know the people and their families well enough to know what is going on. And that stress is almost always induced by the need for people to fit in with patriarchal hierarchy in order to get the approval of alpha males in the family. And they are so hungry for that approval, they don't recognize that they are on a treadmill like a little creature in a cage. And that kind of approval is not worth having. That what is worth having is the circle of the Panchat Raj. And we'll get to the circle again later in the New Millennial Golden Rule. The second component is the genuine progress indicator. It is already the practice of accounting in the state of Maryland, where I live. Mary Land. It is Mary's accounting. Mariam, Mav of Magdala, and Mariam of Nazareth want this accounting system. And so does Jesus, and so do all of their kin. And it is one in which it is reparative, particularly to women, but to all people, because it counts unpaid work. 2/3 of unpaid work, it is estimated 11 trillion per year is a very minimum, is done by women. Another third is done by men. None of this is currently counted in our economies. The most brilliant accountants and economists have worked on this for years and years and years, and millions of people know about it, but you may not have heard about it because the TV has covered it up. It is what Robert F. Kennedy called for in 1968, an alternative to the gross domestic product. That is so important that we cannot find the shock that this has been delayed in our mostly male form of patriarchal government. It is absurd. It counts the value of stewardship of nature. It counts the value of sustainable elements in a society that work for everyone. It counts the real sustainable wealth of any area. To not have that is to be like primative apes. At this point, the gross domestic product means that you're very gross in your thinking and that you're not aware of what true productivity is or sustainable productivity is. Now, the third component is the circle process itself. We invite people to do this online on Google's Hangouts. Although the people's pictures show up as a line, a rectangular depiction, the process of the gathering can become circular simply by people going around the circle in a certain given order, keeping, and then, of course, always vary the order in terms of who becomes first and who follows them. You can go around in different combinations every time the group gathers, so that you have an excellent listening arena as well as talking. And this process is already in use by millions of people around the world, and it was the native indigenous process, certainly of Native Americans, but all around the world, also in other indigenous populations. It is time-tested, it avoids conflict, it allows greater self-definition, it allows much deeper feeling and listening, and it is the way to go. And so then the fourth component is every person who carries this has it within them, the light within them, to carry the New Millennial Golden Rule to others, to share it. They become the deliverers and the co-deliverers with me. And the fifth component is the belief in a mother, father, goddess, God, is the rejection of the notion that God is a male, that God is only a male, and that the feminine aspects are lesser. That is not so. That is against the yin and yang symbol. It is against much ancient wisdom, and it is a sign of how warping of the human mind patriarchy becomes, that people will cling to a missing father figure as their way of coping with patriarchy that is displaced into a religious almost a hocus pocus notion of God that completely leaves out Mother Nature. Well, Mother Nature on every planet is God, and God is in combination with Goddess, and that totality, Goddess and God together, yin and yang together, is what makes it all work. And it's especially important because we haven't had that for so long, that the women come first right now, that we go through a reparative time, and the men step back, especially older men, and that women and younger people who are not embedded in patriarchy take over the media, take over the internet, take over the neighborhood decision-making, take over every legislature, but with great love, and the plan that all the men, the older men, will come back in after about 18 months of them confronting the violence of the male gender, and particularly the domestic violence that is so common around this planet, and assisting their own brothers to evolve. We are not apes anymore. So we have to get past that, and that out of that, getting past that, comes the divinity, the true apotheosis, the Christhood of every person, eternal life, eternal youth, risen without death. Now, this is the new millennial golden rule. Now, we have also established a government, a worldwide government, to spread this to every neighborhood on earth. And here is the government, and you'll see some of my own and Anna Marie and Ma Patricia's families named in them, and other famous families, including we mentioned the Brannock, Skakel, Fitzgerald, Bouvier, Kennedy, Shriver, Cuomo grouping, but there's many, many more. My own family is directly related to that of Chelsea and Hillary, because Chelsea's mother-in-law is a Margulies, and that is our family tree, on one of the branches of our family tree. That tree is also connected to ours, but we're actually connected to all of the people, and you are too. We're all connected by very close anthropology and generationality over time. Everyone is no more than 50th cousina and 50th cousin from everyone else. Those who share a more close genealogy have great overlap and a tremendous heritage of intensity to bring forth their greater gifts within as a circle. So here is our, let's see if I am screen sharing this properly. I didn't go to the essay yet, so let me show you that. First of all, and I'm going to read the essay of the I Have a Dream speech. I already presented much of the essay earlier today, but I will read the I Have a Dream speech, part of it. Okay, here's our own family, and here is the here's the New Millennial Golden Rule section of the internet. Let's just point that out here and let you see it on the screen share. Okay, here's the New Millennial Golden Rule on the screen share. So I don't know why it did that. It's just doing too much, I guess. But it's right up at the left, the top right area here. It's not showing the right section. I'm pressing on it here, but it's showing a section below. But here it is. you can see where the cursor is. And then if you scroll down to the sermons and scroll down one, we're going to be reading the famous I Have a Dream speech today, that we're in the umbra of celebrating the birthday of Coretta's partner, Martin Luther King, Coretta the Queen, Martin Luther Kings. These were common queens and kings influenced by the Mahatma Amma, Kasturba Kebadia, and Mohandas Kapadia Gandhi, who also influenced Winnie and Nelson Mandela, the great transformers without violence. We do not need violence to transform the world. We only need our thoughts and our love. We need satyagraha, we need truth force and love force. Okay, and so here underneath the sermons, we'll come back to this, is our I Have a Dream announcement of the New Millennial Co-Federation in Common Sense, which we are also celebrating this week, the anniversary of the Lambert Payne family giving common sense, a government in which women were fully present, there was no slavery, the indigenous were fully present, and there was no property requirements for either service or access to media either. Okay, so now we are going to our actual government that we have already going on and reaching out to neighborhoods all over the world with this model. I love thy neighbor government. If you go to the section here, A New World, Women's and Gender Balanced Grassroots Congresses, Courts, and Assemblies, and then scroll to Among the Representatives with you, and you. We'll choose that page. I'll show on the screen share. Okay. And on this, we have every continent has many hundreds of women listed by name and also by category of their activities, so that you have a balanced grouping of women. Particularly, it's favoring women with social science, anthropological, psychological, and economics backgrounds that are not patriarchal, to ameliorate the embeddedness of women in patriarchy and to give a fresh voice. And of course, they're here represented to bring in also their youth, female and male, age 37 and younger. Here is our own family and their names. I presented this earlier today. They know about this. And we want them to okay, let me just show you here. Okay, in case they might be watching, we want them to see that they are here. Okay. There they all are. And they're among many other women from North America, white calf buffalo women, women of every heritage, Hispanic, Black, African American, Celtic, Irish, Nordic, Swedish, French, Gallic, Latin American, Australian. Everybody is, and all the continents are represented. This is Gaia, a Gaia Congress of one planet, but we also recognize that this opens the doorway to interplanetary connection, because it makes us a planet that somebody might want to visit, and a more intelligent species would want to visit, and also gives us the human genius and combination to develop the physics to open the stargates, which all of the greatest physicists thought was possible. And it is not by chance or accident that Carl, our Kazina's husband, who is actually our cousin, therefore Carl Alexander Sagan, created a female character, to open the stargates. In his imaginings, that would be done by a physicist or a radio astronomer. But there's another aspect to this, and that's the spiritual aspect. And that is, what kind of practices are the people engaged in on the planet? And that's where, interestingly enough, Carl Sagan's sister is a social worker. Nobody ever talks about her work, but it's equally important. We think of cosmos as stars outside of ourselves, but we are the stars. We are the star stuff. So the social workers, the sociologists, the anthropologists, the psychologists, when they free themselves from patriarchal prescriptions of limitation and are operating within the new millennial golden rule, have enormous gifts to give. And I will just show you again that we do have women and youth from every continent. And we have pictured them with their consciousness currencies, which you can read about on the website, which we call the traveling in time with common sense currencies, in denominations of zillions, trillions and zillions, because that's what this kind of combination is worth in true productivity and real genius. And mentioning genius, this is the birthday month of Gina Davis, a Mensa genius, and also a descendant likely of the Minoan civilization. And so here's all the continents of women and youth on this section of the website. And so now we'll go back to reading the speech. I read some of it today, but I'm going to start just at the speech area instead of the presentation, the actual introduction. I don't think you need that twice today. And I know you can look at the videos from earlier in the day. Okay, let's go back to the sermon, and I will read that section to you. We have our big cats here. Donnie, would you be on camera? Okay. So this is this section of the website. And I will read our transformed version of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech. In the context, I will also read you the state of our union, how tragic we are in a mess right now. But this is more hopeful, and it's time for us to have a moment of hope and plan on it and make it so. Okay, this is the beginning of the speech, and I will just read this with all the transformations. I and we are not unmindful that some of you have come here to hear or read this out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality and unable to afford even a simple abode. Some of you have been made ill, but you are not alone and can be well always with this new time. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemption. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Yes, and go back to Philadelphia, the city of sisterly and brotherly love. Go back to Kalamazoo. Go back to Zuccotti Park in Harlem, to Oakland, to Detroit and Flint, and to the slums and the ghettos of our northern and tsunami-threatened seacoast cities. Go back to your neighborhoods, aware of the affliction of domestic violence and uncounted work and unvalued nature. Go back to London, go back to Madrid, go back to Athens, go back to Heraklion, go back to Cairo, go back to Sydney, go back to Jerusalem, go back to Moscow, go back to Soweto, go back to Rio de Janeiro, go back to Warsaw, go back to Beijing. Go back to Delhi, go back to Kabul, go back to Fukushima, go back to Seoul, to every city and town in the world, to every neighborhood and place on earth, as holy ground, connected by holy water, in the light of the heavens, that we can and must become reconnected with space-time, knowing that somehow, in fact easily, via the new millennial golden rule, this situation on this planet can and will be changed for the better. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. Never give up on your world or on any human being. We are all in the image of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God. We say to you today, my friends, my family, who are all our relations, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, we all still and yet have a dream that shall become reality now, is becoming, as I speak, the reality. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream, common sense, and the dreams of peace and loving kindness of every region of the world, every nation becoming El Salvador, El Savior. This time, the co-saviora, female and male, repaired and redeemed. We all have a dream that one day now this melting pot nation, or better put, this region, this continental section of a region connected to all the nations as regions of an interconnected earth of human family community, will rise up and live out the meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all human beings, female and male of earth, are created equal and divinely endowed with inalienable, precious value and rights. And we all have a dream that one day now on the red hills of Atlanta, near where Coretta and Martin and so many variously enslaved mothers and children of various hues died, and is especially remembered, which means the risen Atlantis of the Atlantic region. In the ancient language of my, your, our egalitarian, non-patriarchal culture, knew that sustainability for thousands of years, Georgia, which means the earth of Gaia, the daughters and sons of former slaves and indentured servants, and the daughters and sons of former slave owners and CEO Scrooges, will be, and their enabling wives, will be able to sit down together at the table, the round table, according to the new millennial golden rule of sisterhood and brotherhood, brotherhood and sisterhood, rebalance for equality and blessing to all in solar light, knowing we are all made of suns or star stuff and are connected in ways we must continually rediscover and relearn, and we can now over the internet. We all have a dream that one day now, that is today, even the state of Mississippi, this is referencing back to the time when Martin Luther King was working so hard, but it hasn't changed that much in some ways. A state still sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression and hierarchy in representation, where women, youth, and most hues are missing. And the state of New York, in the light of Lady Liberty, my own statue, and the District of Columbia, itself the name of a goddess, awash with the worship of older men and male first mammon, with so many missing from decision-making there too, will be transformed into a spreading model oasis of freedom and justice. Gaian, Astraean, Aurora, Apollo, cities of light, Marsyas, and shared anointedness risen, instead of destroyed by drought, hurricane, tornado, blizzard of icy indifference, tsunami, or plutonic disaster like a Fukushima or a Chernobyl or a 3 Mile Island, all so unnecessary, brought about by petty plutocrats more interested in the short-term money-making than the renewable energies' enormous zillions of untold wealth, real wealth. We all have a dream that all the next generations of our one family community, that is this planet's humanity, will one day, starting this day, as you share the new millennial golden rule, again, you saw that, live in a nation, every nation, become an interconnecting region of nativities, of love power, and a world where they will not be judged against because of their gender, generation, or the color of their skin, or size of their bank account, while money forgot most of human effort, but restored by the new millennial golden rule. The content of their character shall become risen, even forgiven, to begin anew, and that they will always be judged with mercy and restorative, reparative justice that refreshes the solar power in all. We all have a dream today that is ready for realization and has been, by my using this modality and reaching out to my own family and to all of you as family, have in fact realized. This is a quantum leap. We are making a quantum leap together, you and I, who are participating in this broadcast, whether as deliverer or as listener. We all have a dream that one day, this day, as you share the new millennial golden rule down in Alabama, with its once and sometimes yet vicious or subtle, smiling sexists, as well as racists, with its most famous or any governor having his drips or her token lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification or co-optation, whether publicly or privately. One day right there in many huggable Alabama, Mississippi, masala, miracle. Little many-hued girls with many-hued boys of brown, deep brown, yellow, and red will be able to join hands with little so-called white and so-called white girls and so-called white boys, whose true is actually more like beige and peach and pink and olive than white, as sisters and brothers of one rainbow of hues that emerges when the white of light is revealed to be a spectrum of colors in combined, mutual, shared reality. We all have a dream that is already, by my broadcasts, become realization. and we all have a dream that one day, now and retroactively, every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall bring us closer to seeing in all balance and harmony that we prize and sustain the Creator and our world clearly. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lady and Lord, that is the Mother, Father, Goddess, God of the universe, who art in all of us also, shall be revealed as present everywhere at all times, and all flesh of all hues, both female and male, all genders, both genders, shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the reunited common sense faith that I and we go back to our work and love with everywhere. With this reunited common sense faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a living stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our so-called national regions. Those of so many diverse, ancient, and migratory origin and current residence in our holy world into a beautiful symphony of sisterhood and brotherhood. With this reunited common sense of the new millennial golden rule, this newly risen Cortina code before it was hacked and degraded, that we are all one kin, one kindness of one beloved, marvelous, miraculous creation in yin-yang balance. Of faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together without label or worrying about our label, to struggle together, to go to and transform and liberate together, while ensuring our world is not a jail to those who taught to misperceive oppression as freedom, to stand up for freedom for all, knowing that we will be free one day, and that day is today. I am your intercessory liberator. I am the predicted paraclete. You are my children and my wards, and I take care of you by the new millennial golden rule. And I give it unto you to make your world into a paradise and heavens on earth and earths. This will be the day when all of Goddess God's children, world and worlds wide, because they are listening to this broadcast off planet, will be able to sing with a new meaning. My world country, my world's country, my universal country, 'tis of thee, sweet lands and planets of liberty, of thee I sing. Lands where my parents strived and strive, lands of all people's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom and peace and love ring. Remember that in the words of the Lambert Payne family, Mary and Tom, our family is the world, and my country, the world is my country, and my religion is to do good. And the new millennial golden rule makes it possible and practical and sustainable to always decide and do good. And if America and the once called Commonwealth land from which it sought independence are to be great and exemplar nations, this must become true now. So let freedom and peace ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire and the dreamland that is in Margate, where common sense began. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York and London, the transitions of Phoenix and Totnes, where they already have consciousness currencies of forgetting Mariam Lambert, we have to correct that, but of Tom, who gave us common sense. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania and the Everests of Nepal, freed from oil drilling provoked earthquakes and global warming landslides. Let freedom and loving living peace ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado and the Alps of Switzerland not melted into nothingness by global warming. Let freedom and loving living peace ring from the curvaceous slopes of California and Curacao without methane clouds. But only let that freedom and peace ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia, that is so named in both the Americas and in Eurasia. Let freedom and loving peace ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee and from Terra Nova, looking out on the loving, living freedom and peace everywhere. Let freedom and loving, living peace ring from the hills of Israel and India, as we are all one world, Israel and Indiva, looking out upon loving, living freedom and peace everywhere. Let freedom and loving, living peace ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, with no one missing when the decisions of life are made, and the credit for love and work and harmonizing respect for nature are given from every mountainside. Let freedom and loving, living peace ring. And let freedom and loving, living peace, the fruits of balance, and let freedom and loving, living peace ring all around the world in the knowledge that nation does not matter, but regained holiness of all are in common nativity as members of one human family community that has migrated all over the world and is yet genetically related, so that each person is no more than 50th cousina from every other cousin and cousina on this earth, and each cousin. We are no more than 50th cousina and cousin from one another, no matter what our nationality or our ethnicity. That is the most important fact to keep in mind. That to must be sustainable planet Earth unites all. This is the new millennial golden rule. And when this happens, when we allow freedom and loving peace to ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee and Terra Nova, looking upon loving, living freedom and peace everywhere to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, every state and every city become simply regions of people who share a planet, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, so-called black people and so-called white people of every hue of the rainbow spectrum of light, of once thought so different hue, but in fact sharing love and life and light in common good faith and trust. All of us together, honoring and learning from Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, Hindus and Buddhists, Baha'is, Zoroastrians, Muslims, Native Americans, and all indigenous people, especially those worshiping the goddess so important to them all, rounded in one good faith, without hypocrisy, and without habitual primitive exception according to gender, generation, age, hue, minority or majority, residential status, nationalism, and even birth order, or accumulated wealth in a system that failed to count most of the love and work of natural sustainability on our planet for so long. We will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the once old plantation, spiritual, made ever new and spiritual again, planted in every mind, soul, and body, living equally. Free at last. Free at last. Thank Goddess God, Almighty Love. We are free and risen at last. This is the gift of the new millennial golden rule. Give it to yourselves and all others. Now, 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 in every neighborhood that you and your family reside, and retroactively in the calculations and understandings of your genealogical family tree of humanity's habitual errors that had erased, invisibilized, and degraded the endowed holiness of every person, female and male, of every age, and especially our children, holy at birth of the planet Earth, holy nativities. There are no masters. There are no slaves.
There is only the illusion, the anava, that their outmoded epochal imbalance that so sadly co-opted even the family of Michelle and Barak, while ignoring Barak's needlessly seen as less valuable, for example, retroactively who we have office, Sister Maya. Maya, her name is Maya. That should have been a clue. And similar women of every kind, produced by the gender and related imbalances of egoism that we have allowed or have perpetuated this needless suffering and lost learning. This is a new time, and this begins as well as continues and presages a new calendar. We will deliver it this month. We are all one family, one beloved community, or we will probably deliver it for the beginning of the real new year, which is spring. This is the end, becoming the new beginning of eternal, all understanding and appreciation of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, of all the people, all the nativities of loving, living planets. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you means that we cannot allow patriarchy to continue. Patriarchy does not make that possible. Only egalitarian society can make that possible. And with that, we will erase almost all of the nonsensical divisions that have divided the humanity for so long, the human family community for so long, for no good reason, and wasted so much of our potential and our creativity and our genius, our goddess and godlike qualities. We shall be the change now that we want to be in the world. I am happy to do this broadcast all by myself, because if even one can make this broadcast, the planet will be saved. Because as the old biblical question is, how many people have to be righteous for you to save a planet? God's answer is only one. But they have to be heard. And I believe that I am being heard, and that you will hear this. And this will resonate with you. And then the one becomes two, becomes three, becomes 300,000, becomes 300 million, becomes the entire planet. This is time traveling with common sense. Solar faith meets social and solar science via divine democracy. We are Atlantis risen. And now I'll play the longer version of that musical medley. Let me reload this. This will take a moment or a while to load. In the meantime, you know, our number that you can call into is 641-715-3850, access code 773342. We welcome your calls and thoughts as sisters, and we especially welcome the sisters and the young people. We'll ask older men to wait with their comments unless they are completely supportive and giving their decision to step aside and let our divine democracy government make this announcement on every venue of our world, so that our world can be saved and all of our world can have eternal life. And we will show you tomorrow our days the earth stood still. If there isn't time yet tonight, we will show you our essay, The Days the Earth Stood Still. I was born in 1951 when that film was released. The Days the Earth Stood Still. It is about the consciousness of the universe saying to humanity, enough of your domination and warring upon yourself. Stop it. It has to be stopped. You're wasting all your resources and genius on the wrong end. We now have solar energy and computer technology, both from the grains of sand, as numerous as the people and the stars of the universe, and more so, even more so in the universe. And we have everything we need to make heaven on earth, but we do have to let go of something. We have to let go of the notion that governments are run by men and that women are only there in smaller or tokenized number. We have to let go of that. We have to let go of it yesterday. We have to think of our great-grandmothers and all the lives of the women and men we've ever known as how their lives would have been different had we had the gender parity that now many countries and large jurisdictions such as the Panchayat Raj do have on this planet. Only North Americans seem to be oblivious to the importance of this. As long as they remain so in the dark, this world will remain in the dark. Those who come forward in the light will become the Co-Secretary Generals, Co-Secretaries. I wish to see it of my very gifted family. They are very, very gifted people. They're not cooperating yet, but they know about this. And that's the beginning. And they're going to hear about it. You're going to hear about it until we all do the right thing. Follow the New Millennial Golden Rule. Make the New Millennial Golden Rule the way your neighborhood works. And tell your extended family that they're welcome to visit you in that neighborhood. And they are part of that family too, because our experiences over time also define so much of our gifts, our talents, and our context. And also reach out to your neighbors globally. You will have time because you will be on the Q continuum. You'll have a lifetime to be on the internet that is thousands of years. Not just a couple of decades or, 7 decades or 9 decades. Our lifespans are going to exponentially grow under the New Millennial Golden Rule. You'll have all the time in the world to learn every instrument, every language, how to do every kind of dance, ballet, folk dance, whatever you want, jazz, tap dance. All of these things will become your pastimes, but they will be your present, not past. You will not be passing time. You will be preserving and expanding time for every human being. And we shall literally live as goddess gods. Immortal, not concerned with death, infinitely creative, and with the ability to travel in space-time, opening the stargates, rediscovering our ancestry on all the planets that they have been watching us from, and waiting for us to become risen via the New Millennial Golden Rule. All right, I'm loading the longer version of the music. And next broadcasts in the future weeks will just more sharing of more graphics. There's so much to look at and more videos that other people have done. But you need the introduction to the New Millennial Golden Rule. That is the key change. The Panchayat Raj, the genuine progress indicator, and the circle process. In every neighborhood, local, global, universal, Stargate opening neighborhood. I'm going to just repeat myself until this is the way it is on this planet. I will not stop. I will not weaken. I will just repeat and repeat and repeat. And I thank you to the millions of people involved in the building of the internet and the nurturing of the people to be able to build the internet, the families that sustained these people. I thank you, all your great and grandmothers. They sustained you while you did this. This is the greatest boon that we could possibly imagine, and it is particularly important that women and youthful people use it. This is better than television.
This is better than going to the movie theater. This is the way to communicate the new millennial golden rule. And then you'll have a lot of time to watch television and go to the movie theater and do whatever you want, because once the new millennial golden rule is in place, you will be as equinoxes and true cues. You will be without time limitation. Your genius will be so multiplied, as with Gina Davis, Mensa woman on January 21st is her birthday. She is also the fulfillment of Alice Paul's January 11th birthday, Alevin. And we have other important birthdays coming up. So you know, and the most important birthdays in my family are the conception and birth dates in spring. Spring really is, in nature's terms, the beginning of the year. And soon we will have eternal spring in all seasons. We'll have much less in the way of winter or of summer. We'll have more temperate climate. We will reverse global warming in all of its extremes. We will have a temperate, Elysian Fields, Garden of Eden-like climate on our world and all the worlds that we terraform and come to interact with. We shall have this. We may want to preserve a few areas of winter, mountaintops and so forth, because winter and all of its snowflakes is a beautiful time too. But it will be mostly spring, and the abundance of the earth will become even more apparent, and the human kindness will be overflowing. You will be able to converse with people every day from all over the world, and yet you will also have time to preserve the bonds among your closest family and help them recognize that they good for those She's operating out of hatred, which is, and so is Tracy. You know, they really developed hatred. It's really strange. Okay, we had a minor technological problem and we're back. And now we'll do this for you. Again, this inspiring a longer musical medley, this time much of the same that you heard earlier, but a little bit longer for emphasis of some certain themes that we want to emphasize. We're going to be broadcasting from the New Millennial Golden Rule headquarters here. But it's all headquarters. As soon as you adopt it, you can broadcast and share the New Millennial Golden Rule. Make it your own. It doesn't take one cosmic Christ. We're all cosmic Christs. I'm just the catalytic one. You saw the kitty cat? I'm the catalytic one. And I'll give you more information about our solar time travel kitty cats kits. Kits. It's a play on words. Kit is that you have the kits to become yees, to become fully risen, and help everyone in your local, global neighborhood and extended family to do so too. Oops, okay.
Celestial event. No. No words. Words. God, I should have said. Oh, so beautiful. Beautiful. So beautiful. Other people need to see what I've seen. They need to see.
These are the spiritual as much as physical voyages of the co-federation solar, sun, our starship, planet Earth, restored to heaven on our and every earth as our spiritual, genealogical, local, global, universal voyager in shared her and his family community enterprise. Our new millennial year's mission to rediscover and re-understand, sustain, and explore are and all are in fact familiar new worlds of family community, of the tree of love, life, and light throughout the solar system and universe, to restore, renew, and sustain our and new life and new sustainable civilizations, past, present, retroactively, and now, rebalance, and future, always balancing, to lovingly, genealogically, and boldly become and be space-time travelers whenever and where we have interdimensional reality, all in part been before, if also never been before, in alternative space lines that are circles, which are of the universal
EQ, IQ, and SQ, continuum, balance, combinations of the ever-expanding circle which spirals and grows, budding and blooming in space-time. Love and live enlightened, ever young, long, and prosper all both in each and every one. Engage your heart, mind, soul, and body, for we all, both in each, and each both in all, can, must, and marvelously and miraculously make it so.
In the thunder's blast, she emerges, her eyes on fire, the mighty priestess. She is risen from the nativity of Calvary. She is risen from the fires of the earth. She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen.
She's risen. She's risen.
We are risen.
महालक्ष्मी मृडप्रिया महारूपा महापूज्या महापातकनाशिनी महामाया महासत्त्व महाशक्ति महारथी महाभोगा महेश्वर्या महावीर्या महाबला महाबुद्धि महासिद्धि महायोगेश्वरेश्वरी महातंत्र महामंत्र महायंत्र महासना महायागक्रमाराध्या ओम महाभैरवपूजिता महेश्वर महाकल्पक महातांडव साक्षिणी महाकामेशमहिषी महात्रिपुरसुन्दरी चतुष्षष्टि उपचाराढ्या चतुष्षष्टि कलामयी महाचतुष्षष्टि कोटि योगिनी गणसेविता
Celestial event. No. What? What? God, I should have said. Oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. Maybe people need to see what I've seen. They need to see.
This day I call the heavens and the earths as witnesses intercessorily for and hopefully and prayerfully not against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose love and life with light, so that you and your children may live. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not our new millennial law.
Now, earlier in the day, I held up consciousness currencies of our great and grandmothers. Now, if you go to the website, along the lines of the issue of common sense. We do have consciousness currencies. I didn't show them here today. Thomas Paine's birthday was January 29th. It's right the day before India's celebration of Mahatma Gandhi. Those two men had a lot in common. In fact, their families had a lot in common. And Richard Attenborough, who made the film Gandhi, had wanted very much to make a film about Tom Paine. It was never made because they couldn't get the backers for it. And the reason, I think, is kind of a sad one. I think that a lot of our CEOs are afraid for people to remember Tom Paine. He was American. Well, he was English and then he became American. He wasn't some exotic culture other than where so many of our corporations are based. He was on U.S. soil, and he instigated the so-called revolution. The problem was nobody followed what he said. Nobody at the Constitutional Convention in 1789 seemed to remember what Thomas Lambert Paine had written in Common Sense. He meant for the common person to become the decision maker. He, in my opinion, was the resurrection of the soul of doubting Thomas, Thomas the Apostle. Tom Lambert Paine was not a big fan of traditional Christianity. He recognized that churches were very hierarchical, that the women were suppressed, that many of them were racially prejudiced at that time, hostile to indigenous people, and had nothing to do with his vision of a world in which the world was his country and his religion was to do good. He simply wanted the happiness of every human being. His common sense gave the way to do it. It was ignored in 1789. It is ignored right now. It is being ignored. We, on this celebration, connect Thomas Paine and his vision to that not only of the early apostles and their families, the women and the men, the females and the male babies, equally holy, but also to Atlantis, because the Gortina Code is very similar to Tom Paine's Common Sense. It empowers the females as equals. This was the key to the Atlantis success. We haven't been doing it. The women are going along with it not being done for them and with them and by them. So I've done it for them and by them here. I've got their names on a list. I'm representing them. I've written to them all, and they haven't said no. They haven't said, no, don't do that. They haven't said, I disagree with you. They've just been waiting for me to do it. So I did it now. And I did on behalf of all their youth, age 37 and younger, female and male. These are the great and grandchildren of these women. Some of their grandchildren, great and grandchildren are pictured here. And they were all contacted this week and many times previously about these broadcasts. They're all lying low. They are low. Our culture makes people low. But I know that they have the greatest of heights within them. And you should know that about your family too, and your family and community. That all people are like Tom Paine. Did you hear the music, the fanfare for the common man? That's also the fanfare for the common woman, very much so. And you heard a lot of the women's voices of different traditions. How beautiful, how incredibly angelic, how of all the heavens, in every language. We have more to add. That selection is obviously not very exhaustive. Found some beautiful music of Kuan Yin blessings also that I want to add. And every heritage, I found some beautiful lullabies of Iranian in the Persian. Every language shows off the enormous genius of women. But our decision-making culture has not reflected that. And therefore, there lies in the fall from Atlantis.
the fall from the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden story starts out with Goddess God creating female and male in their own image. Then suddenly it switches into patriarchal mode, and Eve is just off of Adam's rib. That switcheroo is exactly the same switcheroo that happened to common sense. Patriarchy took hold, the women led it, the whole thing fell down. It's happening right now in North America. We have idiotic television programming, idiotic notions of elections, idiotic situations occurring environmentally that are totally unnecessary because solar was ready 25 years ago, but some old guys couldn't make money off of it, so they didn't do it. You can do it without them. Don't worry about them anymore. They're not your papas. They're your primates, not your papas. Your papas know better. The men who are keener are more like Tom Paine. And your mamas, when they have self-respect, they are the muses and the inspirations and the partners of such men. When men have mothers that don't encourage them to seek egalitarian world for their women folk, their mothers are doing great sin. And we have many women in this culture who are priming their daughters to be secondary, to be codependent, and to be lacking in self-confidence and lacking in belief of their own estrogen has a reason. We have many people who are overly defining the genders too extremely differently, and we have too many people who don't recognize that there's any difference at all. There is some difference across the broad brush. Women have estrogen. Men have a little bit more testosterone. Those are important differences, and they can make for the best kind of decision making when they come together. When they respect one another as individual and differences, and then also come together in the decision making. So, here are my precious ones. You have precious ones. Now, these ones are very precious. Our family genealogy, as I keep telling these people, is the greatest on earth. It connects all the heritages, all the continents, all of the biblical and pre-biblical greats. I'll tell you more about my family, but I'm waiting to see if they'll come, because I'd rather they tell you something about themselves. They're great people, but they don't act like it. They act like they don't want to know themselves and each other. It's really funny, especially the women. The women are all like afraid of each other. Oh, she might know something I don't. Ooh, can't do that. Well, this is all cultivated low self-esteem and codependency. It's been inbred. It's been pushed on them by the mass media. Their mothers didn't know the difference. They didn't come at a time with great education for women. We're stuck if we keep this going. That's why these conference calls and broadcasts are essential, and I know it. And we have another kitty cat who seems to want to help. Do you want to help, Maria? Come on in, Maria. Your sister was already on the broadcast. How about you? Here. Your sister was on the broadcast, baby. Do you want to be too? You're a goddess God creature, One of the best. I will attest to that. She may come join us in a moment. And, people love pets, and there's a reason for it. We're all mammals. And they also give milk to their young and have great purring and hugging qualities. Human beings are supposed to have these qualities too. And we've lost some of that in our culture. We've become more reptilian. The chase for money under the gross domestic product has confused the whole world. The genuine progress indicator will give light.
And that's part of the New Millennial Golden Rule, along with the Panchayat Raj and the circle process. Those are the pillars of conceptual change. That's where the paradigm shift is. You can carry it. And then your flowers will bud and bloom and your lights will get very, very bright everywhere you are and everywhere you talk about it. And if you don't talk about it and you keep suppressing these facts, which is what I see a lot of people doing, they hear about it and they take it in for half a second and then they suppress it and go back to business as usual because they're creatures of convention and habit. People have to be able to grow beyond that. I hope they can. I'm going to keep these broadcasts going in the hope that that will stimulate that growth. Because what I see is a lot of people clinging to old ways. I guess it's the herd instinct. But, you know, Galileo came along and said the earth isn't flat. And after a while, people did pay some attention to what he was trying to tell them. And I know you will eventually pay attention to the New Millennial Golden Rule and make it your way. All I have to do is keep delivering it. My job is kind of easy now. Hangouts on air made it easy. Meet me in the air, meet me and thee in the air. Bring in thy extended family. Start with the Shekinah, the women, and their youth, age 37 and younger, female and male. My sisters and cousines and my nephews and nieces, my nieces and nephews are the most important people to me in the world. I know that each one of them contains a universe. They don't seem to know it, and they don't seem to know what I contain. But I know I do, and God lets me know. So I've got no problems on that count. I'm just waiting for you. You need to come and join me. I have the keys to open the Stargate. I have the keys to apotheosis for every human being. Elucidate all mysteries revealed. Worship your great and grandmothers. You forgot them for a long time. Get their names. Get their maiden names. Write them down. Get their pictures. Make a family tree like I did. Put the pictures together in a circle like I did. Gather in a circle and talk about it like I want you to do. I will lead you. This is really simple. What I'm offering you is extremely simple. And yet out of it will come the equinox and true continuum as the future of humanity. You want to be great? This is the way. You want to be marvelous and miraculous? This is the way. Or would you like to be on the camera too for a second? Here. Just a moment. Let people see you. Here's the sister. Very warm and loving and purring cat. Kitty cat. The goddess kitty cat, Maria Rainbow Sweetheart. You saw her sister, Doña Aurora Feliz, earlier. These are goddess God's creatures. They have the heart light for their species, but our species is more complicated and we have much more cortex and we can figure out a lot more if we let ourselves. We can steward a world in which these creatures are protected, or we can destroy their world and destroy it for one another and our children. We can have eternal life in the universe, or it stops here on earth and our souls are scattered all around the universe and we come back as lesser creatures because karmically we destroyed our greatest opportunity. I hope not. I pray not. And I thank Goddess God for giving me this opportunity to speak with you and speak on behalf of all my family and for them and on their behalf and with hopes and dreams for them that I know that they can fulfill. I have a whole set of recipes and plans to make The pink and green and rainbow colored prints, I don't like to call them blueprints. We've had enough of boys in blue for a while. We've had enough blues for a while. It's time we started having the pinks and the cheery pink in our cheeks again, and the warmth of the gold within our hearts be our colors, and the green of a planet that is thriving and not turning brown and black with pollution. From carbon fuels and unnecessary, outmoded technologies that have no real place anymore. Now, when you go to our website, you'll see there's a lot of practical information too. There's a lot of links on how to go solar very quickly and how many communities have done that, and giving you all kinds of examples and methods and quick fixes. We've also called upon, you'll see on the website, a full apology from all the media moguls and the so-called celebrities of television for what they did tell you about gender parity occurring all around the world, and balance of love and work and renewable energies. They are deliberately keeping these areas and topics away from North American people, and the North American people are going along with that and become increasingly stupid and uncreative and unable to think. You have in front of you everything you need to make heavens on earth. Yet the people are making hells on earth in many parts of our planet. Isn't it an interesting thing what patriarchy does to the human mind and heart? It turns it inside out after a certain amount of time. The women become self-destructive to one another and to themselves. They can't raise children well in that mode. And the men are so oblivious they don't even seem to know what's happening until it's too late for them. We want to save everyone's soul. We want to give them eternal life in the universe and a thriving heaven on this planet. We know we can do it with the new millennial golden rule. You can do it. 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 The new millennial golden rule. You can do it. The new millennial golden rule. You can do it. I can't get much simpler. Goddess God wants you to do it. Do it. Come here and gather in a circle. I want you to see me orchestrate people to learn the habits of keeping a circle process. I can't do that without people, so come join me. You're so incredibly precious and you don't even know it, but I know it. Goddess God knows it. Don't let us down. Varia Rainbow Sweetheart, is there anything you'd like to say? Anything more you'd like to say? You're comfortable there, sitting, lying there. You look like you're waiting to be shown on the screen again. Would you like to be? Your legs up in the air. Hello, world. From a kitty. She has the heart light. Thank you, my darling. You'll teach the people. They'll learn. So I think we're going to stop our broadcast now. I have a dream. We all have a dream. I think maybe in about 15 minutes. We'll stop it a little early. Wait and see if anybody calls. We are on our conference line. They could have called in all this time. Nobody has called in. Everybody has the number. Humanity is going to have to wake up. I know there's going to be some shocks from the environment pretty soon. And you're all going to come running and say, how do we get out of this mess? And I'm going to say, the new millennial golden rule will do it for you. I'm sorry you had to get pushed so hard to look at it. It's real simple. It can be translated in a few minutes into every language on earth. Just push the button on Google's translation page and you're all set. This couldn't be easier. Every neighborhood needs a commons building. That's one thing that the people need to meet. Sometimes they have them within their neighborhood already. A library or a community center is already there. But most neighborhoods don't have one within walkable distance of the, say, maybe 200 to 1,000 people who live in that neighborhood. That would be a first task, and also to get it solar powered and all the people's homes to be solar powered. Make that decision. Then you can work on permaculture community gardens. Make that decision. All of a sudden, you won't have to work as hard. Your food will be freer. Your supermarkets will be cozier and without big bills to pass on to you. The cars and the trucks will all be running on solar power. They'll be electric powered. It's solar powered gas stations, which already exist. They're not gas stations anymore. They're solar canopies. We already have this. We have a solar airplane now. It flew around the whole world. That can also go to Mars and to the moon. The sun is shining on it, you know. So this isn't that hard. This is really easy. It's just that people are following a bunch of old men who only want to make money. And you don't even need the money. Because once you're living in Star Trek, you don't need money. I keep saying this to people, and they don't want to hear this. They say, I need the money. But you know what? You'll find out once you're solar powered, you hardly do. It's a new world, everybody, and I'm delivering it. I'm the first but not last or only Couszmic Christ you can be too. I want my entire holy family to be so. Especially starting with the women and the youth age 37 and younger, female and male, and I know them very well by heart. And I love them, even though they're kind of acting jerky. That's the way it always happens to a prophet. I've come to understand that. It happened to Galileo. St. Francis of Assisi and Clara's families rejected them. Buddha's family rejected him. Everybody gets rejected if they have a deeper vision. It's always the way it is. But it works out over time. People begin to understand there's wisdom to this person. And what they're saying, more important than the person, is what they're saying. What I'm saying is the new millennial golden rule. And the solar powered kitties kits, which are also on the website. And the decision to turn off television until they learn to tell the truth about women. And stop just selling stuff to women and using women to sell stuff to each other. There's something a little bit more about the female gender that they need to understand. And they've been dumbing women down, and they're becoming lesser and lesser to fit in with the images shown to them on television. We have to stop that. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Come watch me. And come join me, and we'll watch each other. That's what Hangouts can do. Much better alternative. Timely and right for our times. So I'm going to stop this broadcast in about maybe 15 minutes or less. I'm going to see if anybody calls in. 641-715-3580. 773-342 is the access code. Come talk. Ask me about the new millennial golden rule. Ask me how I know that I'm the paraclete. Ask me about my PhD and what I know about anthropology, the Cortina Code, the findings of Tel Kabri, the Eleusinian mysteries. Ask me about what I know about ancient Atlantis. Ask me about what I know about why Star Trek's vision is egalitarian. Why did they do that? Why does it fit together that way and it can't fit without it? What's the difference between the Klingon and the Ferengi and the Risa Primers and the Dominion and the, not the Dominion, the Q continuum? What's the difference? The difference is whether or not they're egalitarian. That's the difference. And the thing is, we didn't have our Betazoid stage. I think a lot of women have a need for hugging and closeness and intimacy in order to stretch their brains. Well, we skipped over that in North America because we have such geographical hometown diasporas that a lot of women were not around for each other. They were not around for their mothers and their grandmothers, and now they skipped that step, but we can get it back by these hangouts. Bring your mothers, bring your grandmothers, bring your great aunties. Let's wake them up. Wake them up to the new world. Make sure all these older women have a computer. That's the largest group of people who don't, are older women. Let's make sure that they have some real good information instead of just watching television and becoming drones and stupidified by it. Okay, I love you. I really am your paraclete. I'm kind of a homespun to paraclete. I have big sense of humor. I love you. I have enduring empathic love. It will never give out. I will be here if it is until the end of the world, but I don't want that, and I know that we can start the world anew, as Tom Lambert-Payne said. The Lambert-Payne family told us. We have the power to start the world and the worlds anew. Goddess God, bless us everyone in all the languages of all the heritages of our earth and our earths. Namaste, Mahava, L'chaim, living, loving, shalom, Mir, Pace, Tibetsk, Sedlerik, Merci, Ciao, Mitakuye Oyasin, Sayonara. You name the language, we'll speak it here with you. Come join us, whatever your native language is. We want to hear from you. Come join us, sisters. Come join us, sisters and brothers. Come join us, Kazina sisters. Come join us, cousin brothers. And we'll go from being Kazinas and cousins to co-saviorals. We have the way. It's the new millennial golden rule and the love in the heart for the people that we know. Let's gather as circles together. Every blessing, namaste. The divine within me greets the divine within you. And comes on Pax becomes Pax, peace culture, peace and partnership culture, in peace. Loving, living, and light, peace. We'll stay on about another 5 minutes or less just to see if we get any callers. We will eventually. I'm quite patient. I know that persistence is for women a necessary virtue. It is for all people. And all people who are oppressed have to persist until they break through that oppression. And guess what? They're doing their oppressors a favor. It is no credit to anyone to oppress anyone else or to ignore them and not learn from them when they have great good to offer and learn from. I think I'm holding this upside down. Let me fix it. Yeah, we'll fix it. Everything's fixable. We've been upside down a lot, so maybe that was appropriate. These people have been upside down for a while. We'll fix them up. You know, one thing I'll add that I really need to say. I am broadcasting from Silver Spring, Maryland, right outside the District of Columbia, Columbia, which means the dove. It is a goddess name. It is the goddess of the doves. It is the goddess of peace. How ironic that the country with the largest number of soldiers and nuclear weapons has as its capital the goddess of peace. I am that goddess too, and so are you. We will reclaim all the capitals of the world from their warring. We will bring peace to the world and to the worlds. We are equinoxes. We are true cues. We fear no one. Absolutely no fear. The goddess and the god who loves her are one, and they protect us. And they will protect you. Just share the new millennial golden rule. Your life will become lighter. You will become sure of yourself. Do not worry about the distractors and the naysayers. They'll change their mind. This is the time. We have to do this. There's no way out of the trap that we're in unless it's the new millennial golden rule. That is the keys to eternal life. I am your paraclete, your first but not last or only cosmic Christ, and you will become so with me. I have apotheosis. I have become an incarnated goddess, the goddess Estrella, the goddess of the Statue of Liberty of the Atlantis civilization, risen to bring the golden age back to planet Earth, and not just to Earth, but to all the planets of the universe. We are on the equinox true Q continuum. We have made it. We made it. With these broadcasts, we've all made it. Just hang on to me like a kitty hanging on to that mama kitty's fur, because I'm all warm for you and I love you. And I will protect you. Just turn off the television. Stop voting in sham elections where there aren't enough women to call it parity. And tell everybody about the genuine progress indicator and the new millennial golden rule. You got it made. Love you. Every blessing. Here's Maria in the light of the stars. There she is. Huge hugs to the world and to the worlds. Hi, Mama, Grandma. Watching? And you too, Grandpas. You watching? I know you are. Goddess God was with us on this broadcast, and everyone. Namaste. Mitakoye koya sevirall.